Pretty monumental day today. Can you talk about what happened today or what was announced?
Well, the Pope's announcement that the date's been set and that Mother Teresa is going to be canonized on September 4th, that's a big deal and a big day. When you think about all the saints that Catholic Church has canonized, very few are within 19 years of their passing. So there seems to be an urgency on the part of the Church, and it's wonderful to see Mother Teresa get this attention.
And why do you think that it happened so quickly for her?
I think the world knew she was a saint while she was alive, and when she went home to God, the whole world mourned. And so her holiness, I think, was evident. And so the fact that it only took 19 years is a testimony that there were a couple miracles that the Church attested to, but also I think a general awareness in the world that she was a very holy person and deserving of this recognition by the Church.
And can you talk about how she kind of transcended religion or specific religious persuasion? Because as you said, people mention Mother Teresa as just the epitome of sainthood or godliness, and it really crosses every religion.
That's right. I mean, when you think about Mother's life, it was predominantly spent in a Hindu country where the second largest religion was Muslim. So she was constantly working in an environment where her Christianity was a minority faith. But she loved them all. Hindus, Muslims, Jews, Christians, didn't matter to her. And then she opened up homes in 120 countries. When you think about a missionary order out of Calcutta with no computers, operating in all those countries, with now thousands of women, it's an extraordinary feat by a woman with a high school education who came to India at age 18 and started working with the poor of India.
And what's really special also is that you knew her not just as an acquaintance, you knew her rather well. Can you talk about how you met her and maybe how you interacted with her over the years?
Well, I had the blessing to meet her 30 years ago. I feel like now I won the lottery. You know, at the time it was an opportunity to meet someone that I felt was living the gospel. I wasn't, so she was everything I wasn't. And I met her the week she turned 75 in Calcutta, and she came out like a schoolgirl. And she was so enthusiastic and hopeful and happy. And she told me to go see her sisters at the Home for the Dying in Calcutta, and then to say hi to her nuns in Washington, D.C. And I did both of those things, and that set into motion changes in my life, thank God. And so I kind of mark my life before Mother and after Mother, and it's pretty evenly split.
Now, some people that have such a big reach like that, an impact, are almost larger than life. On a very small, intimate basis, what is she like and how might she be different than this bigger persona that she had?
Well, I think it's important to remember that what made Mother so lovely was her humanity, how she lived. She loved life, she loved people. She loved music, she loved poetry, she liked to sing, she missed her sisters when they were away. I used to drive her up to a convent, and she'd get out of the car and the sisters would stream out of the convent and run up to her just giddy with excitement, and Mother would grab their faces and greet them like this, very tactile. I remember seeing her walk around the AIDS home in Washington just from patient to patient, and how she loved them and looked deeply into their eyes like they were the only person. She suffered celebrity. She didn't want it, she didn't seek it, she accepted it. She felt that was God's will in her life, but she liked ice cream, she liked to laugh. She could get upset, not the way maybe I would get upset, but she was fully human, and it's what God did with her willingness to be used that changed the world.
So it sounds like that she was a very personable person and cared for individuals. How did she manage to accomplish such big things then?
Well, I think she trusted in God, and she didn't set out to do something huge. She started off in a slum in December of 1948, and she decided to just help the school kids there, the kids that were just living in the poorest parts, and she was going to start her own school. And she would trace on the ground, that would be her blackboard. And then she started bringing medicines in because she saw such sick people, and then someone that died, and that she recognized all these poor people were getting no medical care, so then she got the Home for the Dying that opened up in 1952. That became the most important Christian shrine of the mission of the 20th century. So when you look at Mother's life, it all started out small, and then God multiplied the work. She didn't leave India until 1965 when she went to Venezuela, and then she came to the U.S. in the 70s, and now she's got homes, about 40 homes in the U.S. And so, yeah, the Lord did the work as a bunch of people joined the work, and I was privileged to do her legal work.
Did she ever express what she was most proud of?
Well, the most
doing, I mean, not her personally taking pride, but in her works.
Well, I think that she loved forming her sisters. I mean, she was a mother, and so she really wanted to give saints to the church. And in fact, in Yemen, March 4th, 4 of her sisters were executed in Yemen by ISIS terrorists, and so those women died for their faith. Now, there are no priests in Yemen. So this work that she started has had many consequences she couldn't have possibly foreseen like that. And yet she did foresee that she was training individuals to be wholeheartedly for Jesus, and that she would have them go out into the world and serve the poor, encounter God in the poor, and then invite others to do the same. And it's been transformative for so many people's lives. And I can't tell you how many people I've met in the 30 years I've known the Missionaries of Charity, Mother Teresa's order, and in the 12 years I knew Mother, that came and told their stories of how Mother changed their life.
Wow, and you were living proof of that yourself.
Well, I can't even imagine, truthfully, Amy, I can't imagine what my life would have been like if I hadn't met her. I can't imagine what would have happened.
How do you attribute, though, that she had that personal power to make you want to be different?
She brought out the best in people. She looked at you with such love and mercy, and she saw I think she looked at you the way God looks at you. She was just a pure instrument. She described herself at the end of her life as a pencil in the hand of God that he wrote love letters with. And, I think she saw herself just as that simple, humble pencil. So she was very empty, and because of that, God filled her up. And I think what people experienced, and I saw this over and over, when I had the privilege to travel with her and there'd be groups that she'd be meeting, people would almost faint getting around her. The experience was so transformative, and so she had an extraordinary authenticity and a kindness and a firmness that was just otherworldly. I don't know how else to describe it.
Excellent. So now when she gets this recognition, can you describe a little bit about this process, maybe some of the protocols as this plays out?
Well, what will happen now that it's been decided, that means the Vatican has not only approved and the Pope has approved the second miracle that's required after your death, but now the cardinals are in agreement, and that's what took place with the announcement by the Pope. Now the preparations will begin 6 months in advance. What's interesting is that the Pope is making this now the centerpiece of the conclusion of this year of mercy that he declared December 8th. And he's using Mother Teresa as kind of an image of what that mercy of God looks like in the form of people, because he's inviting us to be more merciful, more kind. With all of our politics and how fractured it is, nice to have a voice out there reminding us of what really matters, love and kindness and compassion. We need more of that.
Even though she was a humble woman and lived very modestly, will there be a lot of pageantry involved in the actual?
There is. I went to her beatification, which is the first step to canonization, and that was held in 2003. And it was remarkable. Anything that's held out in front of St. Peter's, where there were 350,000 people there, so it was jammed. And John Paul II, who loved her so much, when he was a close personal friend of hers, he was presiding over it. So this was a moment you'll never forget. So yes, there will be that pageantry, but the sisters make it a point to keep it simple. They don't like big, glitzy. It's like the Mother Teresa Museum we have at Ave Maria. We don't want something that would be out of character with Mother, so it's not fancy. There aren't any bells and whistles. It's meant to be simple, but it's beautiful, because that was Mother, simple and beautiful. How
will she be referred to after this?
I think they'll probably call her Saint Teresa of Calcutta. We're going to always call her Mother Teresa. At least I am. I think
a lot of people will.
Well, I can't get my mind around that. I'm used to thinking of Saint Francis of Assisi or Saint Joseph. To think about Saint Teresa of Calcutta and place her in that context, that company. Maybe I'll get there, but I'm not there. She's still always going to be Mother to me. But she was Mother to the world, regardless of people's faiths. They knew that she loved them for who they were, and she saw the image of God in them. And that was something that Mother made clear in every encounter, and people appreciated that.
We appreciate also your insights of this as well. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.